How's it going, guys? Today we're at JustJap in Sydney, Australia. We've just dropped off the car to get some work done on the gearbox, as JustJap is a Dodson Pro dealer. So let's have a look at what goes inside these. Alright, so JustJap is not only a Dodson Pro dealer, but they also import and sell vehicles, along with being one of Australia's largest suppliers of aftermarket parts for sports and performance vehicles. A huge network of suppliers and contacts in Japan also make them a source for JDM products to the North American market. Similarly, a huge network of suppliers and contacts in North America make them a source of products for the Australasian market. Most of my own stuff came directly from the team at JustJap, so I'm grateful for their help, and they were also solely responsible for putting together my GR6 transmission and drivetrain, which far exceeds the capabilities of the twin turbos. As you can see by the footage being played in the background, this is JustJap's very own Targa Tasmania race car. Anyway, enjoy some B-roll footage. Okay, so back to my car. With the car now on the hoist, it's time to undo the rear subframe bolts, put a platform underneath the transmission, and slowly lower it down. My Amuse R1 exhaust system is finally getting some really nice color to it. But anyway, here's what the transmission tunnel looks like with everything removed, so fairly empty up in there. I wish I had the time to clean and get as much dirt and dust as I can from there, but it is what it is. Here's a good look at the exhaust system that's currently on the car. It's a twin 3-inch Y pipe, which then merges into a 3.5-inch system for the remainder of the exhaust. And obviously from the axle back, we've got the Amuse R1 Titan, which is all 3.5 inch as well. With the gearbox now lowered and everything disconnected, it's now time to strap this up so that we can move it into the workshop area for the work to be done. So why are we doing some preventative maintenance? Well, while the R35 GTR gearbox is pretty strong from factory, and you only need a few minor upgrades for it to be capable of handling the power to run 9s, it suffers from what I call the GTR Domino Effect. Essentially, the rear differential is inside the gearbox casing. If the stock rear differential explodes, there is a chance that it will crack the casing. And see, the issue is you can't just buy a new case. You have to buy a whole new gearbox, which is why it becomes a $25K problem. What people don't realize is the GTR is predominantly rear-wheel drive. So when you launch the car hard at the drag strip, all that load and power initially goes to the back. When the computer detects slip, it then sends a portion of the power to the front to help it grip up and go. And the drag strip, with its sticky surface, is the place you're likely to break something. So for this reason, a few small upgrades will help prevent any breakages at the drag strip. But wait, there's more to the GTR Domino Effect, and I'll explain that later. Prevention is the best cure, so beefing up these certain components means less headache in the long run. This is my gearbox, which internally already has a pretty beefy setup with a Dodson billet gear set. You can see I've already got bracing on the top, and while you can't see it, I've also got bracing on the bottom. Again, this is just in case the rear differential decides to explode at the drag strip, or any track or circuit. What JustJap is doing over the next few days is stripping the whole gearbox down, inspecting, replacing any worn parts, putting in a stronger rear differential. We're also changing the rear diff cover to billet for additional strength. We're also changing the rear axles to drive shaft shop axles, We've got their top spec, which should handle, I don't know, 2000 horsepower or something like that. It's also getting a billet mid plate, some billet shift forks, and a billet AMS transmission sump. Plus we're putting an AMS breather system in there for the transmission so that there's somewhere for the air to escape, because when you launch hard, all the oil will rush to the back of the sump, which means there's going to be pockets of air. So this will help to vent all of that. Having air pockets in your transmission could lead to slow shifting, overheating, warning lights, and problems getting into gear. Generally speaking, on a normal GTR, you wouldn't have any of these issues. But when you're launching something with over double the factory horsepower, these things need to be considered. I mentioned the GTR Domino Effect earlier in the video. Not only does it apply to the rear differential, but also applies to the front because it mounts to the motor. It's rare to break it under 1000 wheel horsepower, but just in case if you do, then there is a chance that it could potentially crack the block. So pretty much anything over a certain power level means upgrading to billet, otherwise you could either take out the block if the front diff blows, or take out the transmission casing if the rear diff blows. Again, that's the GTR Domino Effect. Yes, it sucks, but that's modifying cars in general. One thing leads to another, and then another, and suddenly you're in really deep. Okay, so here's what my transmission will look like. You can see on the top and the bottom on the right side, that's the bracing that I already have. Obviously this is not my transmission, but this will be the end product. You can see the billet aluminium piece right there. That is the rear differential cover. Again, it reinforces that housing so that if anything blows or breaks or anything like that, it's protecting the case. This here is the billet mid plate. This is pretty much adding an additional layer of strength to the transmission. One thing that this gearbox doesn't have, but mine will, is a billet sump, which I just pointed out down the bottom. Obviously this one's got the standard one, but mine will have the billet one. The sump itself is a little bit deeper than factory, so it can hold some more transmission fluid, which is always a good thing. And because it's made of billet, it's also stronger, which again reinforces that transmission a little bit more. Here you can see that the gearbox is already apart and disassembled, ready for some of the new components to go on. Obviously everything is being checked and making sure that it's still fit for purpose, and some of the additional components are going on. Unfortunately, I can't show everything as we don't want to be giving away too many secrets on how these things are put together. And with JustJap being nice enough to let me record some of these things, we obviously don't want to break that trust. So this is what I could share. You can see just how complex these things are. There's just a shit ton of components everywhere. Sensors, gears, levers, all sorts of stuff. It's just really complicated. So no doubt one of the reasons why they don't want to be giving away too many secrets. These are now clips from a few days later when everything was assembled and ready to go. Pretty much now the next stages is just to assemble the casing together and then install it into the car. So you can see that's my rear diff cover. It's a little bit different to the one you would have seen earlier in the video, but that's the one I chose, and yeah, it's good to go in the car now. I can't thank the guys at JustJap enough for all the support and the work that they've done to the car to date, especially with the gearbox, and obviously supplying a lot of components to me. So huge shout out to them. Make sure you check out their website, buy some stuff off them, support their business. They're fantastic at what they do. They ship worldwide, so wherever you are, North America, Canadians, now that you're getting R34s, R33s, etc., hit them up. I'm sure they've got all the right parts for you. And finally, here's the drive shaft rear axles. It's a bit of a mouthful, that one. You can see how much beefier they are compared to stock. These will handle everything that I can throw at them, so we shouldn't have any breakages, hopefully. You can just see the rear diff cover here sort of peeking through. But on top of the drive shafts and getting those upgraded, JustJap does also offer a front drive shaft upgrade, which is essentially a beefier version of what you currently have. So this is it right here. You can see it looks almost brand new, but it's been strengthened to be able to handle additional power. You wouldn't generally break this unless you've got high horsepower and you're launching pretty hard. Anyway, thanks for watching, guys. There's more updates coming, so don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next one.